Elena's discovery. The air inside the Great Pyramid was thick with dust and the faint, metallic scent of ancient stone. Dr. Elena Marlowe's torch flickered against the walls, casting dancing shadows that seemed almost alive. Every step she took echoed through the narrow corridors, each sound amplified as if the pyramid itself were listening. She had been exploring this site for weeks, but nothing had prepared her for what lay ahead. Turning a corner, she noticed an unusual seam in the stone, a line too perfect to be natural. Her pulse quickened. With trembling hands, she traced the contour, brushing away centuries of accumulated sand. The wall gave way under her pressure, revealing a narrow passage she hadn't seen on any map or architectural drawing. Her heart raced with anticipation. Could this really be it? The discovery of a lifetime? As she stepped cautiously into the hidden chamber, the darkness swallowed her, but her torch illuminated a scene that took her breath away. The room was small, yet meticulously arranged. In the center, atop a stone pedestal, lay an ancient manuscript, its leather cover cracked with age, inscribed with cryptic symbols that seemed to shimmer faintly under the light. Next to it, a strange metallic device sat silently, unlike anything Elena had ever seen. Its surface was smooth and seamless, etched with intricate patterns that defied conventional understanding. Elena approached, a mix of awe and fear tightening in her chest. She reached out, hesitating for a moment before brushing her fingers over the device. A subtle hum resonated through her fingertips, vibrating with a strange energy that made her spine tingle. The air seemed to shift around her, as if the pyramid itself were alive, aware of her intrusion. For a moment, she thought she was alone. But then, a flicker at the edge of her torchlight, a shadow moved across the chamber entrance. Someone or something was watching her. Her pulse doubled. The excitement of discovery was now tinged with a chilling sense of danger. Elena realized with a shiver that she might not be the only one who knew, or wanted, the secrets this hidden chamber held. Her fingers hovered over the manuscript and the device, and she knew that whatever choice she made next would change the course of her life forever. The Great Pyramid had revealed its first secret, but it had also whispered a warning. The story within these walls was far from over. Elena's eyes were drawn to the manuscript, its surface alive with cryptic markings that seemed to pulse under the torchlight. The leather cover was brittle, scarred with the passage of centuries, yet it radiated an aura of deliberate preservation. As she gently lifted it from the pedestal, a faint scent of ancient papyrus and ink rose, mingling with the dust of the hidden chamber. The symbols were unlike anything she had encountered in her years of archaeological study. Twisting lines, geometric patterns, and unfamiliar glyphs coalesced into a language that felt both alien and strangely familiar, as if it were speaking directly to something deep inside her mind. Elena ran her fingers along the intricate patterns, a shiver running down her spine. Each symbol seemed to hum with hidden meaning, hinting at truths far beyond the realm of ordinary archaeology. She carefully opened the manuscript, revealing pages densely covered with diagrams of celestial constellations, complex machinery, and strange inscriptions that seemed to merge mathematics with mysticism. There were sketches of rooms and corridors she hadn't yet explored, marked with symbols that suggested the chambers themselves were part of some vast, unknown mechanism. As Elena traced the diagrams, a growing sense of wonder and unease filled her. The manuscript was not merely a record of the pyramid's construction. It was a map to something much greater, something that had been carefully hidden from the world for millennia. Each page hinted at knowledge powerful enough to alter everything she thought she knew about history. But with that awe came a shadow of apprehension. Hidden within the intricate symbols was a warning, barely perceptible, almost as if it had been written to only reveal itself to those who were worthy, or perhaps doomed to understand. Elena's heart pounded as she realized that the secrets contained within this manuscript were alive, waiting for the right moment and the right person to awaken them. The chamber felt suddenly smaller, heavier, as if the walls themselves were closing in with anticipation. Elena knew she had uncovered something extraordinary, yet she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched, not just from the shadows of the pyramid, but by the knowledge contained within those fragile pages. The manuscript was no ordinary relic. It was a key, and she held it in her hands. Elena's gaze shifted from the manuscript to the strange device resting beside it, its metallic surface gleaming faintly in the torchlight. It was unlike anything she had ever encountered in her decades of archaeological work. Smooth, seamless, and impossibly intricate. Etched into its surface were interlocking patterns that seemed to move when she blinked, as if alive with a hidden energy. Cautiously, she reached out, brushing her fingertips across the cold metal. The moment her skin made contact, a subtle vibration coursed through her hand, running up her arm and settling deep into her chest. It was a hum, low and almost musical, yet undeniably powerful. Elena instinctively pulled back, heart pounding as the air around her seemed to shimmer and ripple. Like the world itself had shifted slightly. Her mind raced. What was this device? Its craftsmanship was far beyond anything she could explain. The design was precise, mathematical, yet strangely organic, as if it were engineered by a mind that blended science and something else. Every instinct in her body screamed both fascination and fear. This was not merely an artifact. It was something alive, something intentionally hidden for reasons she couldn't yet comprehend. Tentatively, Elena studied the device closer. Small symbols lined its edges, similar to those in the manuscript, forming patterns that seemed to mirror the celestial diagrams she had just seen. Her pulse quickened. Could the device be connected to the pyramid itself? Could it be part of the mechanism hinted at in the manuscript? The thought sent a shiver down her spine. A sudden noise, perhaps her own imagination, echoed in the chamber. The shadows seemed to move differently now, longer, sharper. The device's faint hum deepened, almost as if responding to her presence. Fear and exhilaration intertwined within her. She realized that this object, silent and inscrutable, was a doorway to something far greater and far more dangerous than she had ever imagined. Elena knew one thing with absolute certainty. The manuscript and the device were linked, and together they were a key to secrets that could reshape everything she thought she knew about the Great Pyramid, and perhaps the world itself. Yet even as wonder and curiosity surged within her, a whisper of dread lingered at the edge of her thoughts. The device was not just a discovery, it was a test, and someone, or something, was already watching. Elena's hands trembled slightly as she placed the device back beside the manuscript, her mind still buzzing from the strange hum that had coursed through her fingertips. The chamber, once awe-inspiring in its silence, now felt oppressive, as though the very walls were closing in. Shadows seemed to slither along the edges of the torchlight, and every creak of the ancient stone made her heart jump. Then she saw it, a flicker at the corner of her vision, barely perceptible. A shadow moved across the far corridor, just beyond the reach of her light. Her pulse quickened. She froze, listening. The pyramid, usually her silent companion, seemed to hold its breath with her. Footsteps? No. Too deliberate, too controlled. Someone was there, and they were watching. Elena's mind raced. Could it be a rival archaeologist? A looter? Or something far older? Something connected to the secrets she was only beginning to uncover? The hidden chamber, once a sanctuary of discovery, now felt like a trap. She gripped her torch tighter, its light wavering against the oppressive darkness. Every instinct told her to flee, yet curiosity rooted her to the spot. Whoever, or whatever, was out there clearly knew of her presence. The weight of the pyramid pressed down on her, as if the ancient stones themselves were aware of the intrusion and ready to defend their secrets. A sudden draft brushed against her neck, carrying with it the faintest whisper of movement. Elena's eyes darted to the entrance. The shadow had vanished, yet she knew it hadn't gone far. Someone was out there, observing, calculating. The realization sent a chill down her spine. The discovery of the hidden chamber was no longer just a triumph. It was a dangerous lure. Elena's mind flashed back to the device and the manuscript, their strange power now tinged with menace. The secrets she had unearthed were no longer hers alone, and the pyramid had just begun to reveal its first warnings. Elena's mind was still racing from the shadowy figure she had glimpsed in the corridors. Every instinct screamed caution, yet the weight of the manuscript and the strange device pulled her forward. She had to understand what she had discovered, even if the pyramid itself seemed to resist her. As she adjusted her torchlight to examine the chamber once more, a calm, measured voice echoed from the entrance. "Impressive work." Startled, Elena spun around, her torch flaring against the stone walls. There, standing just beyond the threshold, was a man she had never seen before. His features were striking, sharp, intelligent eyes framed by dark hair, and a confidence in his stance that suggested he belonged to no ordinary expedition. "I didn't mean to startle you," he continued, lifting his hands in a gesture of peace. "My name is Damien, a historian, and I believe I can help you understand what you found." Elena narrowed her eyes, suspicion warring with curiosity. "How do I know I can trust you?" she asked, her voice steady despite the rapid beating of her heart. Damien smiled faintly, his gaze unwavering. "You don't, not yet, but I know these chambers, the secrets hidden within them, and the dangers you've already sensed are only the beginning. If you intend to unravel the truth of this pyramid, you will need guidance." There was something magnetic about him, a knowledge that seemed effortless yet precise. Elena felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps she was not entirely alone in this labyrinth of stone and mystery. He stepped closer, keeping a careful distance, and pointed toward the manuscript in the device. "Those artifacts, they are not ordinary relics. They are part of a story much larger than either of us, one that has been carefully hidden for centuries. If you wish to survive and to understand, you need someone who has studied these patterns, these symbols, for years." Elena hesitated, weighing her options. Every instinct told her to be wary. Every part of her curiosity urged her to listen. Finally, with a measured breath, she said, "Fine, but I make no promises." Damien inclined his head in acknowledgement. "I wouldn't expect you to, but together we might just have a chance." For the first time since entering the hidden chamber, Elena felt a glimmer of cautious optimism. The pyramid still held its secrets close, but now she had an ally, one whose motives, she reminded herself, were yet to be fully understood. Elena and Damien moved carefully through the labyrinthine corridors of the pyramid, each step echoing against the ancient stone. The air was cooler here, the scent of dust and centuries-old decay mingling with something faintly metallic, almost electric. As they approached a narrow passage marked with symbols from the manuscript, Damien's expression darkened. "There's more at play here than just lost history," he murmured, his voice low. "You've stumbled upon something very few have ever glimpsed, and fewer still have lived to tell." Elena frowned. "What do you mean?" Damien hesitated, then gestured to a carved symbol on the wall, one that resembled a serpent coiled around a pyramid. "These markings indicate a secret society," he explained, "a group that has protected the pyramid's deepest secrets for centuries. They are meticulous, ruthless, and utterly devoted to guarding what lies within these walls." A chill ran down Elena's spine. She had heard legends of secret orders protecting ancient knowledge, but to encounter evidence here, in the very heart of the pyramid, was far more real and terrifying than anything she had imagined. "They watch from the shadows," Damien continued. "They know more about this pyramid than any academic, and they won't hesitate to eliminate anyone who threatens their mission. Even someone like you, someone with good intentions, could be seen as a threat." Elena's mind raced. The manuscript, the device, the mysterious hum she had felt, everything now made sense in a new, darker light. The shadow she had glimpsed in the corridors wasn't just a random observer, it was a sentinel, a warning. "And if they catch us?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Damien's eyes hardened. "Then we face consequences far beyond imprisonment. They are masters of patience, and their reach extends far beyond what we can see. To survive, we must understand them before they understand us." Elena swallowed hard, the weight of the revelation pressing down on her. She realized that uncovering the pyramid's secrets was no longer a pursuit of knowledge alone. It was a dangerous game with opponents who had honed their methods for generations. Somewhere, deep within the winding passages, the pyramid seemed to hum again, as if acknowledging her awareness of the society, the hidden chamber, the manuscript, the device. Everything was part of a delicate balance maintained for centuries. And now Elena and Damien had stepped into the center of it all. The game had begun. Elena's fingers hovered over the delicate pages of the manuscript, tracing the cryptic symbols as if they might suddenly reveal their secrets through touch alone. The air in the hidden chamber felt heavier now, charged with an almost imperceptible tension, as though the pyramid itself were aware of her intrusion. Then, buried within the intricate diagrams and mysterious glyphs, she noticed something new, a line of symbols she hadn't seen before. At first they seemed like part of the larger pattern, but as she studied them, a chilling message began to emerge, woven carefully into the text. Some truths must remain buried, or time itself will collapse. Elena's breath caught in her throat. The warning was clear, yet profoundly unsettling. Time itself? The pyramid wasn't just a monument, not just a tomb. It hinted at a scale of power she could barely comprehend. Her heart pounded as she reread the symbols, the words sinking into her mind with an almost hypnotic weight. "What does this mean?" she whispered, more to herself than to Damien. Damien, standing beside her, leaned closer, his brows furrowed. "It's more than a warning. It's a caution directed at anyone who dares to unravel the pyramid's mysteries. Whoever wrote this knew the risks of disturbing what lies within these walls. And if they were right," his voice trailed off, the implication hanging ominously between them. Elena felt a cold shiver travel down her spine. Every step she had taken deeper into the pyramid suddenly carried heavier consequences. The manuscript was not merely a guide. It was a gatekeeper, a record of power that came with rules, and the penalty for breaking them could be catastrophic. She glanced at the device resting beside the manuscript, recalling the strange hum, the subtle vibration that had coursed through her body. Could this warning be linked to it? Could it be the key to a mechanism capable of bending the very fabric of time? The thought was intoxicating and terrifying. For a moment, the chamber seemed to grow smaller, the shadows pressing in as if the pyramid itself were reminding her of the danger. Elena realized that discovery and danger were now inseparably entwined. Every secret she uncovered brought her closer to knowledge and closer to peril. And the pyramid's whisper was unmistakable. Tread carefully, some truths were meant to remain buried. Elena had thought she could trust Damien, his knowledge, his calm guidance, the spark of alliance that had given her hope amidst the shadows of the pyramid. But as the days passed and they delved deeper into the labyrinth of chambers, subtle signs began to unsettle her. A glance too long at the device, a whispered conversation Elena couldn't quite catch, a hesitation when she asked questions. All of it gnawed at her instincts. Late one night, deep in a side passage lined with hieroglyphs, Elena caught Damien holding a small folded note. She hadn't noticed him approach, but the note's edges glimmered faintly under her torch. Curiosity overrode caution, and she edged closer, just in time to see Damien's fingers brush over the parchment, tracing lines that mirrored the symbols of the secret society. Her stomach dropped. Damien wasn't merely a historian seeking knowledge. He had been in communication with the very people who had guarded the pyramid for centuries. The realization struck like a blow. Every step they had taken together, every insight he had offered, could have been calculated to lead her directly into the society's hands. Elena's mind raced. Was he working against her, or did he have his own reasons for deception? The manuscript, the device, the chambers, all of it now felt like part of a larger game she hadn't fully understood. Someone close to her was weaving a web of deceit, and she had walked willingly into it. When she finally confronted him, Damien's expression was unreadable, a mask carefully maintained. "I'm not your enemy," he said quietly, though his eyes flickered with uncertainty. "I have my own motives, but I promise you, I'm trying to protect you." Elena's heart clenched. She wanted to believe him, wanted to cling to the fragile trust that had formed between them. Yet a deep, cold doubt settled in her chest. The betrayal wasn't complete yet, but the seeds had been sown, and she realized with a shiver that the greatest danger might not lie in the pyramid itself, but in the person she thought was her ally. The shadows seemed to close in around her, as if the pyramid were aware of the fracture forming between them. In this maze of stone and secrets, trust was the rarest treasure of all, and Elena now had to navigate the treacherous terrain of both the ancient chambers and the human heart. Elena moved cautiously through the twisting corridors, her torchlight flickering across walls etched with symbols that seemed to shift in the shadows. Each step deeper into the pyramid revealed chambers more intricate than the last, their designs hinting at a knowledge far beyond conventional architecture. It was as though the builders had anticipated centuries of exploration, leaving behind riddles and mechanisms meant to test anyone who dared enter. The first chamber was small, almost claustrophobic, with a floor patterned in a series of interlocking tiles. When Elena's torchlight struck certain symbols, faint grooves shifted beneath her feet, revealing hidden compartments and narrow passages. Her pulse quickened. The pyramid wasn't just a tomb, it was a labyrinthine machine, each room part of a complex system aligned with celestial events. As she advanced, Elena discovered rotating stone discs embedded in the walls, inscribed with the same cryptic glyphs as the manuscript. Pressing them in the correct sequence caused a low hum to resonate throughout the chamber, and a stone doorway slid open silently, revealing another hidden passage. She realized with awe and unease that the pyramid was alive in a sense, responding to those who could decipher its intricate logic. Hours passed as Elena worked to decode the sequence of symbols, cross-referencing the manuscript with her observations. Each chamber presented a new puzzle. Some required precise alignment of engraved star patterns, others demanded an understanding of mechanical leverage, and a few tested her endurance and patience with near-impossible physical challenges. With each success, a thrill surged through her veins, tempered by the ever-present awareness that danger lurked nearby. The pyramid was designed to protect its deepest secrets, and it would not hesitate to trap or punish those who failed. Elena paused for a moment in the heart of the labyrinth, torchlight casting elongated shadows against the walls. The realization struck her. This was not merely an archaeological site, it was a gateway, a machine encoded in stone, waiting for someone capable of unlocking its hidden powers. Every puzzle she solved brought her closer to the truth and deeper into peril. The pyramid's secret was almost within reach, yet Elena knew that with every chamber she mastered, the stakes grew higher, and the margin for error disappeared entirely. Elena's hands were slick with sweat as she adjusted the torchlight, revealing another chamber deep within the pyramid. Its walls were lined with intricate carvings, each more elaborate than the last, and the air was thick with the weight of centuries. For a moment, awe threatened to overwhelm her, but then she noticed something that made her blood run cold. The floor beneath her feet was subtly uneven, with faint cracks forming a labyrinthine pattern. At first, it seemed like a natural flaw in the stone, but as she stepped forward, a low grinding sound resonated beneath her boots. A section of the floor shifted slightly, almost imperceptibly, and she stumbled, her heart hammering. Her pulse raced as she realized the truth. The pyramid was no passive tomb. Each chamber was rigged with mechanisms meant to punish intruders. This was not a simple puzzle. It was a deadly trap, designed to protect the secrets that lay deeper within. Elena froze, listening intently. The air seemed to vibrate with a quiet, sinister intelligence, as if the stone itself were alive and aware of her presence. Dust fell from the ceiling as another section of the floor shifted, this time with a jarring click. She leapt backward just in time, narrowly avoiding a pit that opened silently, its depths swallowed in darkness. Her mind raced. Every mechanism she had studied, the rotating discs, the star-aligned tiles, the hidden levers, was part of a larger, lethal design. One false step, one miscalculation, and the pyramid could claim her life. The device at her side seemed to hum in response, as if acknowledging the danger, yet offering no guidance. A cold knot of fear twisted in her stomach, tempered only by the determination that had brought her this far. She forced herself to focus, tracing the patterns in the floor and walls, calculating each movement. The trap was intricate, merciless, and beautiful in its complexity. With a deep breath, Elena moved again, her steps precise, her eyes scanning every detail. She had survived the first deadly test, but the pyramid's true challenge was only beginning. Somewhere ahead, its deepest secrets waited, and the next misstep could be her last. Back in the relative safety of a hidden alcove, Elena spread the manuscript across a flat stone surface, her fingers tracing the intricate symbols with a mix of reverence and urgency. Every glyph, every line of text seemed alive, humming faintly in the torchlight as though the pyramid itself were aware of her scrutiny. Hours passed as she painstakingly compared the diagrams in the manuscript to the chambers she had already explored. Slowly, a startling pattern began to emerge. The symbols weren't merely decorative, they were instructions. Detailed schematics mapped the chambers, the hidden mechanisms, and the alignment of the pyramid's inner structure with the stars. And then it hit her. A chill ran down her spine. This was no ordinary tomb. The manuscript hinted that the Great Pyramid was far more than a monument or burial site. It was a machine, a colossal mechanism designed to manipulate something fundamental, time itself. Elena's mind whirled with the implications, the chambers, the hidden devices, the cryptic symbols. They weren't just protective measures or architectural flourishes. They were components of a larger design, one that could alter the flow of past, present, and future. Every mechanism she had activated, every puzzle she had solved, had been part of an intricate system encoded centuries ago. Her hands shook as she traced a line of symbols resembling the device she had found. Could it be that the artifact was the key to operating this machine? If the manuscript was correct, she held in her hands not just knowledge, but the blueprint to unimaginable power. Yet, with awe came dread. The manuscript also hinted at the risks. A misstep could cause irreversible consequences, distorting history or destroying what she knew as reality. The warnings she had seen earlier were no exaggeration. They were dire prophecies. Elena leaned back, taking a deep breath, her mind racing through every detail, every observation. The pyramid's true purpose was finally beginning to reveal itself, and with it, a terrifying responsibility. She was no longer simply an archaeologist uncovering history. She had become a guardian of a secret that could reshape the very fabric of time. And somewhere deep within the stone corridors, she sensed that the pyramid was watching her realization unfold, as if acknowledging that its greatest secret was now within reach. As Elena delved deeper into the manuscript, Damien lingered in the shadows of the chamber, his mind a tempest of conflicting loyalties. Every step they had taken together, every discovery, had drawn him closer to her. And yet, the obligations of the secret society weighed heavily on him, whispering reminders of the centuries-old duties he had inherited. He watched Elena trace symbols and cross-reference diagrams, marveling at her brilliance and determination. Her dedication was inspiring, but it also made his own task impossible. Could he betray her, as he had been trained to do, knowing the knowledge she sought could either save or destroy everything? Damien's heart ached with an unfamiliar burden. Genuine care for Elena mingled dangerously with fear of the society's wrath. One wrong move could cost him her trust, and one miscalculation could provoke the society's wrath, erasing them both from the pyramid's corridors forever. He knew the society had eyes everywhere, guardians who would not hesitate to strike if he faltered. Yet in Elena's presence, he felt something he had never allowed himself: hesitation born of conscience, a growing doubt about the unquestioned obedience the society demanded. As he paced the chamber silently, Damien realized the dilemma was inescapable. He could continue serving the society faithfully, risking Elena's life for loyalty he no longer fully understood, or he could quietly assist her, guiding her toward the truth while walking a treacherous line that could expose him at any moment. His chest tightened as he glanced at the manuscript and the device. The power they represented was immense, almost incomprehensible. To misuse it or allow the society to seize it could alter history irreversibly. Yet to protect it, he would have to choose between obedience and his own conscience. Damien finally sank to the stone floor, head in his hands. The torchlight flickered across his troubled face. He knew one thing with certainty: the decisions he made in the coming hours would not only determine the course of the pyramid's secrets, but also the fragile bond he had formed with Elena. And for the first time, Damien wondered whether loyalty to a centuries-old order was worth more than loyalty to what he now felt was right. Elena stood at the center of the hidden chamber, her fingers brushing lightly over the strange device. The hum she had felt before had grown stronger, vibrating through the air like a low, melodic pulse. Her heart pounded, part excitement, part trepidation. She knew she was on the edge of something far beyond ordinary understanding. Tentatively, she activated a small mechanism on the device, a series of intricate levers and symbols responding under her touch. At first, nothing seemed to happen, but then the air around her shifted. The shadows in the chamber stretched and warped, as though the torchlight itself had begun to bend. Suddenly, Elena's vision blurred. The walls of the chamber melted into scenes she had never witnessed before. Streets of ancient Egypt teeming with life, artisans carving the original stones of the pyramid, priests chanting in solemn rhythm. Then, without warning, the scene shifted again. To the distant future, a desolate landscape, the pyramid towering over a crumbling city, the sky streaked with unnatural light. Her knees nearly buckled. She staggered backward, clutching the manuscript to steady herself. The device hummed insistently, vibrating through her core. She realized with a mixture of awe and terror that this was no mere vision. She was glimpsing moments of history and time itself, moments connected directly to the pyramid and its hidden mechanism. Damien's voice broke through the haze. "Elena, are you all right?" His concern was genuine, but there was a sharp edge of fear in his tone. She nodded, though her mind was still reeling. It's showing me the past and the future," she whispered, her voice trembling. "This device, it can manipulate time itself. We're not just uncovering history, we're interacting with it." The weight of the revelation pressed down on her. Every decision she made with the device could ripple across centuries, altering events in ways she could scarcely predict. And yet, amid the fear, a spark of exhilaration ignited. The power she held, combined with the manuscript's guidance, offered the possibility of unlocking secrets that had been buried for millennia. But the pyramid, silent and inscrutable, seemed to warn her. With great discovery came unimaginable risk. One misstep, and the very fabric of history could unravel. Elena took a deep breath, steadying herself. The first shift in time had changed everything. Her understanding of the pyramid, the device, and her own role within this ancient enigma. There was no turning back. Elena's mind was still reeling from the first glimpse of time itself, the echoes of past and future still lingering in her vision. She barely had a moment to process when a chilling realization hit. She was no longer alone. From the shadows of the chamber, figures emerged silently, their movements precise, almost predatory. Elena's torchlight revealed them slowly, hooded, masked, and deliberate, each step resonating like a drumbeat of impending danger. The air grew colder, heavier, and Elena instinctively clutched the manuscript to her chest, the device pulsing ominously beside her. "They've found us," Damien whispered, his voice tight with tension. He stepped in front of Elena, trying to shield her, though the fear in his eyes mirrored her own. The leader of the group stepped forward, a presence that seemed to fill the chamber without effort. His voice was calm, yet every word carried the weight of command. "Dr. Marlowe," he said almost reverently, "you are meddling in matters far beyond your comprehension. Surrender the device and the manuscript. Your discoveries end here." Elena's heart raced. The secret society whose existence she had only begun to suspect was real, and they were ruthless. Every instinct screamed to flee, yet she knew escape would be nearly impossible in the confined, twisting corridors of the pyramid. Her gaze darted to the device, the hum now thrumming louder, as if urging her to act. She realized that the manuscript and the device were her only leverage, her only chance of survival. Yet the stakes had never been higher. These were not scholars or treasure hunters. They were centuries-old guardians, trained to eliminate any threat without hesitation. A bead of sweat ran down her temple as she calculated her next move. The society had revealed themselves, their intentions clear, and for the first time, Elena understood the true danger of the path she had chosen. Every step she had taken, every symbol she had deciphered, had led her into a confrontation she could neither ignore nor retreat from. Damien's hand brushed hers, a silent warning and reassurance. Together they faced the encroaching figures, the oppressive weight of the pyramid pressing down on them. Elena knew that the confrontation had changed everything. The secret society was no longer a rumor in the shadows. They were real, they were deadly, and they would stop at nothing to guard the pyramid's ultimate secret. The echoes of confrontation still lingered in the corridors of the pyramid. The shadows stretched long and menacing against the stone walls. Elena's chest heaved with adrenaline, her fingers brushing nervously over the device as she considered their dwindling options. The secret society had revealed its ruthlessness, and now trust had become the most precious and dangerous commodity. Damien's presence beside her was both a comfort and a source of tension. She could feel his gaze flicking between her and the looming corridors, calculating every risk, weighing every possibility. But Elena knew that trust was fragile. Even he could no longer be taken at face value. The earlier signs of his divided loyalties now seemed magnified, and she understood that survival meant forming alliances carefully, with eyes wide open. As they pressed deeper into the pyramid, navigating chambers alive with cryptic mechanisms, Elena noticed subtle changes in Damien's behavior. He paused more often, consulting the manuscript in hushed tones, his body language uncertain yet protective. It became clear he was torn between the society and her, between duty and conscience. Then a sudden noise echoed through a distant chamber. Stone grinding against stone, a reminder that the pyramid itself was a living trap, and that the society's reach extended even here. Elena realized that alliances were no longer about mere camaraderie. They were tactical, a delicate balance of power and trust. Even those who claimed to aid her might be holding secrets that could tip the scales at any moment. With a steadying breath, she whispered, "We have to decide who we can trust, and act accordingly. One misstep, and we're finished." Damien nodded, eyes shadowed with uncertainty. "I'll follow you," he said, voice low. "But you must know I'm walking a fine line. We both are." Elena's mind raced. Every step forward was a calculated risk. The manuscript's secrets, the device, and the deadly chambers themselves demanded precision and courage. But even more, they demanded judgment in choosing allies. She realized that survival depended not only on intellect and courage, but on reading the hearts and motives of those around her. In the twisting labyrinth of stone, Elena understood that the pyramid was not just a puzzle of mechanisms. It was a crucible, testing every choice, every loyalty. And as the shadows shifted around them, one truth became painfully clear. In this game of secrets and power, alliances could shift in an instant, and trust